Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So, we are still in the hadith of Sulh al-Hudaibiyah, the Hudaibiyah peace treaty. And we read the first part of that hadith. Inshallah, we'll try to always make it a bit short. Yesterday we went for 20 minutes just reading from the hadith, the single hadith, and commenting on some sentences and some words in the hadith. But just to summarize for those who were not here, the hadith started by the fact that Prophet ﷺ had seen a vision that he's making Umrah, visiting the sacred house in Mecca, him and his companions. لقد صدق الله رسوله الرؤيا بالحق لتدخلن المسجد الحرام إن شاء الله آمنين محلقين رؤوسكم ومقصرين لا تخافون. That vision that is mentioned in Surah Al-Fath in detail. So he told his companions, this is a message from Allah. Let's get ready, do our ihram. So they got ready for visiting the sacred house in Mecca. And they went and they only took with them their swords. They did not intend to go into battle or war with anybody. But then as they approached Mecca, Khalid ibn Walid, Quraysh had sent him amongst two riders or soldiers, 200 riders or soldiers on horses, to see what the Muslims are coming to do. Obviously they were coming to worship Allah in the sacred house. They were not coming for war. But still Khalid ibn Walid at the time intended to engage in battle with them. And some other narrations of this hadith indicate that he was watching them from a distance. And then the Dhuhr Salah came, and that is when he caught up with them and he watched them do the Dhuhr Salah. And then he told his followers, the soldiers that were with him, 200 soldiers, wait for a couple of more hours. There will come a Salah that is more beloved to them than their money, their souls, and their children. That is when we will attack. And Prophet ﷺ in that time, during that time period, is when the form of the Salah for war was prescribed for him. Salat al-Khawf. The Salah that Muslims do at times of fear, where half the Muslim group or Muslim army would be on the watch facing the enemy, while the other half prays until they finish, and has different forms of it. But this is basically the basic idea of that Salah, that somebody is watching and guarding while others are praying, and then they switch. At that point is when that form of Salah was prescribed to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And I read in the seerah of Khalid ibn Walid, there was a book written by Abbas al-Aqad. It was called Abqariyat Khalid, the mastery or the geniusness of Khalid ibn Walid, because he was a military genius, of course, as you all know, before Islam and when he became a Muslim. Khalid ibn Walid, when he saw that happen, he says, "علمت أن الرجل ممنوع." He says that is when the first feeling came to me that someone is protecting this man or protecting those people. So these kind of things happen to the person. He gets messages like this, and they have some kind of effect on the heart, and slowly change the heart from the inside. Anyhow, Prophet ﷺ deliberately avoided any kind of engagement in war with Khalid or anybody from Mecca. So he changed the way and went a different route until he came to Hudaibiyah, and that is when, as you know, the camel sat and would not move, al-Qaswa. And then he told them that it is Allah who stopped the camel here. Something will happen in this place. Let's just wait and see. And then the Quraysh sent a man to Prophet ﷺ to warn him and to scare the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims, telling him that Quraysh is ready for war. They are coming out to engage in war with you and fight with you, and they have brought with them their women and children, indicating what? They're going to fight till the last man, because they won't bring the women and children and leave them unprotected, right? Which means that we will fight until our last man. Prophet ﷺ was not scared by that. And he told them the facts. He told them Quraysh is not strong. Quraysh has suffered so many casualties in the previous wars, and Quraysh needs some kind of respite and peace. And he says, and I'm offering this peace to Quraysh. All I want is they allow me to deliver my message and talk to people. That's all he wanted. This way, if people follow me, he's already from Quraysh, then Quraysh will also be successful. If they want to join Islam, they join, or at least they get some time to recover from all the losses they have incurred in the multiple years before that, where they engaged in war with the Prophet ﷺ. Then the hadith reads, yes, and we've stopped at the part in which the Prophet ﷺ says, and he showed them, although he wanted peace, he showed them that he is not weak, and he knows the reality that Quraysh is actually not that strong as they pretend to be. And at the same time, he told them, this is what I want, peace. But if they insist on war, I will fight حتى تنفرد سالفتي, until I get killed defending my cause. Okay? تنفرد سالفتي means my head would be separated from my neck. Can you put it on again? It says, وَلَيَنْصُرَنَّ اللَّهُ دِينَهُ. It says, and even if that happens, that doesn't mean it's the end of this religion. And that's Prophet ﷺ himself talking. He says, وَلَيُنْفِذَنَّ اللَّهُ أَمْرَهُ وَلَيُنْفِذَنَّ اللَّهُ أَمْرَهُ. He says, still, regardless if I live or don't live, and that's the Prophet ﷺ, he says, still the amr of Allah, this religion of Allah, this affair of Allah, because it is the religion of Allah, He is the one in charge of it, He is the one who's protecting it. Allah will still complete His religion and make it successful and make it prevail. And this is important, that we do not hang the success of religion or da'wah or any kind of religious activity on a single individual. Here Prophet ﷺ himself, he says, even if I die, still Islam will continue and it will prevail. Now, so he told that, this name was, the first envoy was Budayl ibn Warqa. So Budayl says, I will inform them of what you have said. So he set off till he reached Quraysh and said, we have come from that man, meaning Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whom we heard saying something which we will disclose to you if you should like. Some of the narrator of the hadith says, some of the fools among Quraysh, فَقَالَ سُفَهَاؤُهُمْ, some of the fools among Quraysh shouted out that they were not in need for this information. We don't want to even hear about it. We don't care what he said. We are not in need of this information. But the wiser among them said, relate what you heard him saying. Budayl then said, I heard him saying so and so. He told them, relating what the Prophet ﷺ had told him. Urwa ibn Mas'ud got up and said, O people, aren't you the sons? And he was like one of the elders there. He says, aren't you the sons? Alastum bil abna? They said yes. He added, am I not the father? They said yes. He said, do you mistrust me? They said no. He said, don't you know that I invited the people of Uqaz for your help, and when they refused, I brought my relatives and children and those who obeyed me to help you? There was a previous conflict in which Quraysh needed help, and this man was so loyal to Quraysh that he tried to call his people to help Quraysh, and they refused. He says, I brought myself and my children and I joined you. I became part of you. I'm like a father to you and you are like my sons. To show them that he will not do anything or give an opinion that will go against their interest. They said, and look at those people, although they were polytheists, they were still so wise, and they had very logical kind of a reasonable speech. They said yes. He said, well, this man, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, has offered you a reasonable proposal. You'd better accept it and allow me to meet him. They said, you go and you may meet him. So he went to Prophet ﷺ and started talking to him. You will see they were sending one envoy after the other. Shows how much hesitation they had. They didn't know what to do with this situation. Okay, and you will see in the hadith that they were also afraid of the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims, although they were very little in number. They were 1,400 and they were not prepared for war, and they were wearing the ihram. But still, they were terrified, and at the same time, they themselves did not want to go into war, and at the same time did not want to look in front of the Arabs that they were overcome by the Muslims, that the Muslims forced their way into the haram, into the sacred place to make the visitation and Umrah. So he went to Prophet ﷺ and started talking to him. The Prophet told him almost the same as he had told Budayl ibn Warqa, the man who came before him. Then Urwa said, O Muhammad ﷺ, won't you feel any scruple in extirpating your relations? I don't know what scruple is. S-C-R-U-P-L-E. Can somebody look me this word? Scruple. What does that mean? Sadness? Like sadness or?
No. Opposite. It's
No.
like a good conduct or something like that.
No, he says, basically, let's read it in Arabic. He says, أرأيت إن استأصلت أمر قومك هل سمعت بأحد من العرب اجتاح أهله قبل وإن تكن الأخرى فإني والله لأرى وجوها. يعني basically he says to him, do you really want to? Would you be just like you said? Would you be happy? استأصلت أمر قومك. Would you be happy that you exterminate or kill your people? So obviously they were afraid of the Muslims coming, although they were not coming for war, but still they said to him, is this something that would make you happy? That you would go into war and kill your relatives? But of course, that's not what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ wanted to do. But he's just saying that basically because he's telling him the situation is so tense. If you insist on coming for Umrah, a war is bound to happen, and people are going to get killed. So hesitation.
Yeah, or is there was
like hesitation now. And then he says, have you ever heard of anyone amongst the Arabs extirpating his relatives before you? Extirpating, istisal means basically to eradicate. He says, have you ever heard of any of the Arabs doing something like this? And this shows you, although they were polytheists, but still they had principles. Nobody would harm his people. Okay? On the other hand, if the reverse should happen, he says, the reverse should happen means that if we overcome you or we are stronger than you, look at what he said here. On the other hand, if the reverse should happen, nobody will aid you. For by Allah, I do not see with you dignified people. Talking about the Sahaba, he's now mocking them and belittling them. And basically telling Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that those people will not be steadfast, they will not be patient and stand by you if we fight against you. So, and he is making an oath by Allah because they believed in Allah, they believed in God, but they associated in worship with Allah, although they knew that Allah was the most supreme, and those gods that they worshipped, those idols, were minor and more inferior gods that they took as wasa'it, intermediaries, allowing them to get closer to the real God. Okay, that's how they felt about it. But still, that kind of belief is totally unacceptable, and the person who has this kind of belief is in the fire of hell forever and ever, with no chance of coming out. So he says to him, and if the reverse should happen, nobody will aid you by Allah. I do not see with you dignified people, but people from various tribes who would run away leaving you alone. Why is he saying that? Because the Muslims, yes, were from various tribes. People from different tribes came and embraced Islam and joined Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And the force in Arabia, or power in Arabia, was based on tribal relationship. If you were from the same family or the same tribe, then you're united and you are strong and nobody can fight against you. But when you get people from different tribes, Arabs looked at it as a sign of weakness, because there's nothing that's bonding them. Because they can't envision that the bond of the religion would be stronger. They can't envision that. Yes, you have a question.
Sheikh, you can also make an argument that he is making these statements based on the understanding of himself, like based on how he understands the situation. So maybe that's not the reality, but that's what he...
Of course, that's what he understands, of course. And people who look from outside always misunderstand and have a misperception about Islam and Muslims. And that's exactly what he had. So he said to him, and inshallah we'll stop soon. What time have we, how long have we been going? 8 minutes only?
No, around, we have 14 minutes.
Okay.
We're going 15 minutes.
Okay, inshallah, we won't exceed the 20. So when he said that, he said they will run away and leave you. Hearing that, Abu Bakr Siddiq said something really, said something very strong. Does anybody know what he said to him? Abu Bakr Siddiq abused him, basically just like he felt that he's insulting the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Muslims and the companions. Children, what are you doing here? What are the children doing here? معلش الحتة دي معلش it's rated R يعني. This coming segment you have to go downstairs. معلش وانا مش واخد بالي، مش قلنا يا علاء من زمان. تمام. هو لا تمام، الحديث ده ما كانش فيه حاجه، بس الحته دي بس. Abu Bakr Siddiq then responded, abused him and said, do you say we would run away and leave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam alone? No, he didn't just say that. فقال له أبو بكر الصديق، فقال له أبو بكر أمصص بذر اللات أنحن نفر عنه وندعه. The translator didn't even translate it. He left it out actually completely. So okay, does anyone know what badr is in Arabic? See, this is a way. This is he's insulting him. It's a strong and vulgar insult. Al-badr is basically a clitoris. So seriously, that's what it is. Al-Lat is the idol that they worshipped, one of the idols of Quraysh. Okay, and it was supposed to be like a female. It's a female idol. They had male and they had female idols. And Omsus means I want you to go and suck on the clitoris of Al-Lat. But subhanAllah, the scholars, when they commented on this hadith, said in this kind of situation, it's not inappropriate. It is inappropriate to talk like this in normal circumstances. But when in response to an insult, and in an insult to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the companions, it was okay. This is the same as one of the Sahaba in one battle. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave him a sword. So he started walking with all pride in front of the people. What did the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ say to him? He says, تِلْكَ مِشْيَ يَبْغَضُهَا اللَّهِ إِلَّا فِي هَذَا الْمَوْطِنِ. He says this kind of walk of pride and showing, that you're confident and full of yourself. He says this is something Allah hates, except in this situation. Except in this situation, okay? So he responded in a very harsh way to this man. And then Urwa looked, says, who is this man? They said, he is Abu Bakr. Urwa said to Abu Bakr, by him in whose hands my life is, were it not for the favor which you did to me, and which I did not compensate you or pay you back for, I would respond to you. And look, again, they had principles. Abu Bakr Siddiq did him a favor before Islam, when they lived together in Mecca. And when he realized it was Abu Bakr Siddiq, the man who had a favor upon him, he says, just because of that favor, I will stay quiet. I won't respond to you. So then Urwa kept on talking to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and seizing the Prophet's beard. The Arabs used to have, and actually up until now, when somebody is talking to you, he goes like this on your beard. Is this not a habit in some countries? When you're talking to somebody and you're showing him that you're close to him or something, you go like this while you're talking to him.
Please.
Yeah. No, but on his beard, like you touch his beard like this. You're so kind, and I have no problem with you, and you touch his beard like that. So he was doing that to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's beard as he was talking to him, okay? And seizing Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's beard as he was talking to him. While Mughira ibn Shu'bah, one of the companions, was standing by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ on the guard. He was standing by him, guarding him. Standing near the head of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Obviously, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sitting, and this man was sitting, and Al-Mughira was standing. And again, scholars said, of course, it is not appropriate to stand while the Prophet Muhammad, while the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is sitting. But here he's standing to do what? To protect and guard, right? That is okay again. So he was seizing the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's beard as he was talking, while Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah was standing near the head of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, holding a sword and wearing a helmet. Whenever Urwa stretched his hand towards the beard of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, Al-Mughira would hit his hand with the handle of the sword, and say to Urwa, remove your hand from the beard of the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before it doesn't come back to you. So because he felt that, yes, you do this to your friend, to somebody who's at your same level, but to keep on doing this to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he felt that it was disrespectful, especially when he did it multiple times. Okay, then you don't really know, is he doing it out of respect, or is he doing it trying to humiliate this person? Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say? Especially when you repeat it multiple times and you don't know if this person likes it or is annoyed by it. How many minutes?
Almost 21.
Okay. Okay, I'll just mention this, how he responded to Urwa, because, Mughira ibn Shu'bah, because whenever he tried to extend his hand to hold the beard of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would hit his hand with the handle of the sword and say to him, take it back or otherwise it will not come back to you. Then he looked and said, who is this? They said, this is Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah. And it just happened to be that Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah is the nephew of this man. It's the nephew of this man. He said, this is Mughira ibn Shu'bah. Okay? And you have to know, it's been years, since Muslims migrated to Medina. This is the 7th year. Okay? Possibly Mughira was little at the time. And those people sometimes had multiple wives, had multiple children. You may see your nephews, you might not see them. So he says, who is this man? They said to him, this is Mughira ibn Shu'bah, your nephew. Says, he's Mughira ibn Shu'bah. And then he says, oh treacherous, am I not doing my best to prevent evil consequences of your treachery? Now what is he referring to? Because Mughira ibn Shu'bah, before he became a Muslim, he did something wrong one time. He went with some people to trade or something like this, and he basically killed them and stole their money. And then he ran away. Okay? So, and that's his uncle. And as you know, if somebody does something like this, the family has to pay the blood money and to always try to, cover up, and also not only to try to say sorry to the family of the people who are deceased so they don't attack the whole family of Al-Mughira. He says, I'm still dealing with the trouble that you left us behind when you left Mecca because of your treacherous act. And it was a treacherous act. And that is why when Mughira fled from his family and from Mecca, after he did that, and then he came to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to embrace Islam, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to him, أما الإسلام فنقبله وأما المال, I don't know if he stole or he killed, وكان المغيرة صاحب قوم في الجاهلية فقتلهم نعم وأخذ أموالهم. Yes, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, we will accept your Islam, but your problems with the blood money and the money that you stole and everything that you did, I have nothing to do with that. Okay, so basically, when this uncle saw Mughira treating him like this, he reminded him of his previous sins. Oh treacherous, I'm still trying to solve the problems you left us behind, left your family behind because of your treacherous act. Inshallah, we'll stop here.
Sheikh, how much of it is left?